Every editor knows the perfect video needs the perfect music to make it really pop. Find it easily on Premium Beat, where you'll hear world-class music produced by award-winning musicians. Best of all, unlike other music providers, our license gives you tracks for a lifetime. Pay once and never again. Save 25% on your next track. Just visit premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast to redeem your coupon. That's premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast.
Thank you for joining us. And let's see, who else is here? RPG Overlord, where have you been hiding? Haven't seen you in years. Jim Morris, thanks for coming on in. Fabster, thank you so much for that super chat, buddy. Hope you're doing well, and I appreciate your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Manitoba Becky's here. She is our wheat queen. Night Gazer, good to see you. Noble Patrick, thanks for coming on in. And no, I did not get enough sleep this weekend, Vayner. Totally did not. And I blame John Hudson for that. It's his fault for keeping me up till 3 o'clock in the morning the other night. But that's okay. Let's see here. Hey, Gary Vermeer, the Dutchman, is here. Gary, you're Dutch. Just wanted to let you know you're Dutch. And thank you, Whisper, for that $5 super chat to kick off the show. Really appreciate that. We're going to get going here in 10 seconds. Digger Dog, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. And remember, super chat is a great way to support this show. So is hitting that subscribe button. So do it. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out the Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. If you haven't heard of Joedy Cook before, I'll tell you, you are in for a real treat. He is the founder and the man behind the North American Dogman project. If it's cryptid, Joedy is going into the bush to look for it, literally. I mean, this man is a veteran. He's tough as nails, got a great mustache and hairdo. I mean, that's all you really need to scare the bejesus out of creatures like Dogman, and he does a good job. But Joedy has appeared on several television shows, including Monster Quest, Sightings and Encounters, Top 10 Mysteries of the World. He has been absolutely everywhere, but his main goal in retirement is finding out what the hell is this Dogman, what's it going on, and you can report everything if you have a sighting to North American Dogman Project. Joedy Cook, my friend. It's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. We try and bring you on every 6-8 months because I always get requests. When are we talking Dogman? So we might as well go to one of the best. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I am fine. I can breathe tonight. The forest fire smoke seems to have gone in a different direction, which is always
That's
nice.
Good. Yeah.
But otherwise, it's been going good. How's your summer been?
It's been doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been off and on, with sightings and stuff coming in. So last year, it's better than last year. Last year with COVID, we hardly got anything because everybody was, inside and not too many people were out looking around. So things are starting to pick up. So that's good.
Very cool. Joedy, for people who may not be familiar with your research and who you are, how did you get started in all this cryptid hunting?
Well, I did a lot of UFO research back in the 80s and early part of the 90s. And we had this this is before cable TV and everything. Public access TV was kind of the big thing back then, and we did this live show called UFO Update Live, and it ran for about 8 years. And like I said, it was a live show. We had guests. You can call in. It was like on the first Wednesday of every month. So we would start getting a lot of reports of cryptids connected to UFO activity. So myself and George Clapperson decided to take on the cryptid stuff, and that's how I got into it. Got away a little bit from the UFO stuff and went strictly into cryptid, mostly Bigfoot at the time, because that was one of the biggest cryptids that was very connected to the UFO phenomenon. And then throughout the years, just, learning about different other cryptids reports, here in Ohio, other than Bigfoot and Dogman, we have the Levelland Frogman. We have Betsy, which is a lake monster up in Lake Superior. So just a whole lot of this stuff was coming in, and it's just getting to the point where I just kind of had to sit there and stick to one particular cryptid. And that's how I got in mostly with the Dogman stuff.
How much do you enjoy this monster hunting? Because one of the cool things that when people, say to me, well, what do you do for a living? When I tell them about the radio show, I said, I'm a monster hunter. I like going out looking for monsters. How does it feel when, maybe your children or whomever tell their friends and family, yeah, my dad, he's a badass monster hunter.
Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of neat. My daughter, her fiance, father, loved the idea that, I was doing all this stuff, because before my daughter started dating, his son, he used to watch all the shows that I was on and thought, oh, wow, this guy's neat. He had a lot of neat, interesting stuff. And then, when my daughter got hooked up with his son, it was kind of one of these cool things. And I was on TV the other night, and my daughter sent me a picture of my grandson, in his diaper and his bottle, and he's up against the TV watching Grandpa. So that was
what a moment! Fun. What a moment!
Yeah. Yeah.
That just sounds absolutely awesome. So for you, being in the middle of this entire cryptid world and kind of chasing down these stories, how fun has it been over the years to do this? I mean, I could just imagine the rush you get every time a new report comes in.
It is. It's very interesting. I mean, even, it's not so much the new reports. A lot of this stuff is these older reports that took place that people have had and that they've seen, and the whole idea about the encounter, which is really interesting, because when you get these older reports, those people go into a lot more detail about the report instead of reports that you get today, because they talk about more how scared they were than about the description of the creature or the area. But these older reports, these people just go into so much detail, and it's very interesting just reading all the small detail. So I love it. I get excited. We had one that was actually on the other side of the street from where I live, and that was an interesting encounter. So yeah, it's interesting. Definitely love it.
There's a lot of people out there who listen to this show who are still on the verge of learning what we're all about, what all of these cryptid creatures are. Bigfoot obviously is still the most popular out there going on, and people are still learning that there are such things as frogmen, dogmen, goatmen, goblins, trolls, and even gnomes that turn real from their ceramic garden homes. Okay, and I'm just wondering for you if you could break down this Dogman for people. I mean, when did this come to light?
Actually, Dogman, we've got newspaper articles going all the way down until the early 1800s. So it's something that's been here. A few Native American cultures actually talk about it, but it didn't really start to get really, really popular into the late 2000s. so we had a couple very interesting cases that took place, in the United States here. One in particular was the Defiance, Ohio werewolf case that took place in 1972. And that hit not only just nationwide, but worldwide. This case for about a week, give or take, this what they called a werewolf was harassing this town. And the very first night this incident actually happened, it attacked 3 men on the railroad up there.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it got to the point where, the police were very concerned about it because this thing was killing livestock. It was killing, cattle. And, Ohio had no bears at the time. Ohio didn't have bears until like 1984. And so they were blaming everything on a bear. So it got to the point where the police were concerned and they decided, okay, well, we're going to say this thing had clothes on. So it was like instead of a werewolf, but a wolf man, which all reports showing it never had, clothes on. But the incident happened, like you said, for about a week. But it's a very interesting case. And there's a rumor that's been going around that Stephen King's novel Circle of the Werewolf or Silver Bullet was based on the Defiance case. And there's a lot of similarities that's from that movie that took place in Defiance, Ohio. So
Really?
that was one of the biggest cases that actually made worldwide, other than like the Michigan Dogman and the Beast of Bray Road. And a lot of these incidents took place in the 80s. But prior to like 1972, everything dealing with Dogman was just basically something that stayed within communities, stayed within people, because no one ever talked about it. If they had a sighting of like a werewolf. Another case here in Ohio, in Germantown, when they see Ohio's all farmland, corn, cattle, dairy, dairy state, and Germantown's a very heavily farming area. So they started to build small communities, and when they went into the woods, they went into built one particular street called Butter Street, and this was back in the 70s. So the people would see this werewolf type creature, which they called the Butter Street Monster. But it never made it outside that community because it was something that stayed in that community. People only talked about it in that community until, the late 1990s going into 2000s. Then it started expanding out. So this is how we're getting all this stuff. But like I said, prior to the 70s, everything stayed within the community. You didn't hear a whole lot about it, but it was there and it was happening. There's newspaper articles, about these things going, pretty far back. But, now that you have social media and all these other communication outlets and stuff that's going on, then you start hearing a lot more about it.
For you, what made you decide that the cryptid world, and especially focusing on Dogman, that this was an area that you wanted to investigate?
Well, I did Bigfoot research for a long time. I've written a few books on Bigfoot, and I really loved the Bigfoot stuff. I really did, but the field was getting so political. It was unbelievable. It was turning into cliques. It was turning into, the buddy system. Every type of convention or every type of outlet that was going on Bigfoot, it was always certain and the same people doing everything. So you really didn't get a chance to listen to it. Different people who had different experiences and different evidence. It was like they only wanted you to listen to a certain group of researchers with the right last names, and that's who you need to listen to. So it got to that point. I said, I'm done with this. I've been researching this new cryptid called Dogman, and I was going through my reports going back from the 80s and 90s, where a lot of these Bigfoot sightings, they had either a high pointed ear, or they had a snout, or the legs were backwards like a dog, and people were seeing this thing and, oh, it's a Bigfoot, but what they were seeing was a Dogman. So I kind of fell into it because I would start doing a lot more research and finding a lot more newspaper articles about these things going back, 100 years, and it's like, there's something to this particular cryptid. A lot of people are seeing it. We have these small little communities that are seeing these things. They're popping up in newspapers. There's something about this particular type of cryptid that is interesting, and I wanted to look more into it. And I just kind of fell into it. I really fell more in love with Dogman than I did with the Bigfoot stuff. I mean, I was obsessed with Bigfoot, believe me. But this Dogman stuff is just so much better. I mean, some of the reports that were coming out, it was just phenomenal.
One thing about the North American Dogman Project, and knowing you personally, I know the seriousness that you take this subject, and the high quality of research that you have your team doing. But one thing that I can appreciate about your group comparatively to a group like the BFRO, you guys are not editing any type of reports. You're not ruling out anything that may not fall in the realm of normalcy or anything along those lines. Why do you take such a different report than your counterpart in the Bigfoot world?
Well, the thing of it is, it gives injustice to your research when you do that. We get so many different reports coming in that's, not only flesh and blood, but supernatural, extraterrestrial in origin. We've had a few, which is what you consider transformation type thing, where one organism transfers into another organism. But we get them, we look at them, we talk to the people, we just don't shove them aside. But, excuse me, you have to sit there and look into everything, and you can't be judgmental about it. Yeah, you get some of these reports that are just so far out there, it's just, it's not true. But you have to look into it. We post everything that comes in. We have a map, we put all the reports in there. I just don't want to hide anything from the people, because when you start doing that, then you start, not only you're lying to the people, you're lying to yourself, and I can't do that. Like I said, some reports are so far-fetched, but still, there's some truth within there, but you have some that just, I don't know, you question it. We don't put those in there, we save them, but we do still communicate with the people.
Even though, you try and eliminate the woo factor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're dealing with a woo subject, and you're not afraid to keep those reports because they are the experiences people are having.
Mm-hmm.
Why not edit them? Why not be like the BFRO and erase those reports or edit those reports to make them sound a lot more credible to the mainstream? Now, I'm saying this facetiously because I don't agree with doing that.
Right.
But why not take that same stance?
Because it's you're lying. You're lying to the people that are reading the reports. You don't want to embellish anything. It's okay to, when you post a report, it's okay to give your opinion on it. But don't change anything, because when these people give reports, you can see their emotions, in their report, the way they're talking. And if you take that away, you take away the meaning of the story or the meaning of the sighting, and mostly you take out the emotion that the people are dealing with. Now, I don't want to sit there, and get a report and, okay, it's kind of slow, but, let's pump it up a little bit. No, I'm not going to do that. We've never done that. The BFRO has done that. I mean, we have members in our organization that are members of the BFRO. And, these guys are like saying, the BFRO gets a lot of Dogman sightings. They get a lot of them, but they're told, don't report them, don't post them, don't talk about it. These expeditions that these guys go on where they pay all this money with the BFRO, they're reporting Dogman sightings. They're seeing them. They're finding the evidence. But, the people who are running these things saying, don't talk about it. We don't want to hear it. Don't even, give it to the North American Dogman Project. Don't even tell the North American Dogman Project, about this. And, that's part of the problem. You don't make up stuff, and you surely do not edit anything that comes in.
No, and I think that's the proper way to go, because you can't sit there and insult people's integrity.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to. And the way I look at it, okay, 99%, and I may stir up some controversy here, but frankly, I don't care. It's my show.
Right.
99% of the people out there who are conducting investigations are so far off the scientific scale, it's an insult to science that they're actually using the word science in their research.
Right. The thing of it is, in order to be a really good investigator, you have to be skeptic. You have to be skeptic on everything you've got there. Because if you go out believing that you're going to go find Bigfoot or Dogman or any other cryptid, you're going to find it. Because every single indication in the ground, you're going to think it's a footstep. Every broken tree or branch, Bigfoot or one of the cryptids did it. Every marking on a tree, Bigfoot or another cryptid did it. And you can't think that way. How I do things, it might sound corny, but how I do it is, if I find evidence in the field, I have to sit there and look at it as, could I present this evidence to a cryptid jury to persuade them this is what I got? Okay, and that's the way you got to do it. You have to sit there and be very...
For the ones standing guard, for the eagle-eyed, for the knights in shining armor, and for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, clickgrainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Okay, so if you don't already know, Kohl's is the best-kept secret for back-to-school shopping. My daughter's heading off to college, and I got a great deal on a bedding set for her dorm, which she absolutely loves. Picked up some pillows for $11.99 and got her new jeans for just $21.99. I mean, whoa. With prices like that, you can't say no. Even better, it was ready for pickup in less than an hour. Did I mention I also got Kohl's Cash and Connecticut shops tax-free through Saturday? Select styles. Prices good 8/18 to 8/22/2021. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
Cautious of what you do and how you do it. And, like I said, you got to be skeptic. Just because there's, an indention in the ground doesn't mean a cryptid did it, but you have to look at it, very well close to see what type of, track it is, especially in the snow. That's one of the biggest things, tracks or snow, because when it melts, it expands and it can go into all kinds of different, shapes. So you have to be very cautious on what you do.
We got about 2 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. North American Dogman Project's Joedy Cook is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Joedy, exactly for the public who doesn't know, how do you look for Dogman?
This is what we do when we go out. If we get a report, okay, and a recent report in an area, we have, researchers who have a kit. So my particular kit, I have different hair samples from different types of wolves. Okay, North American, Arctic, and I also have urine from female wolves. So I have a lot of this stuff that I keep with me, and I'll put pheromone chips out there, and with the urine or even with the hair, to try to attract. And the reason why I use female wolf urine, because most of the urine that I get from this particular area, group of people that raise wolves, it's right at the right season where they're ready to mate. So hopefully you would try to bring one in, with these type of pheromones that you set out. So that's the way we do it.
That's pretty cool, because I don't think a lot of people would actually think about that. I really don't think that they would take it. I mean, usually, you have people going out in the field. They have binoculars. They have a first aid kit. They have casting materials.
We have all that. We carry all the casting materials. Trail cams, thermal imaging, stuff like that. But you also have to have, other tools with you in order to try and bring one in that you can try and capture on film. So using pheromones is probably one of the best ways to do it.
Not a problem. Joedy, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Joedy Cook from the North American Dogman Project. I mean, this is a guy who literally goes around the forest chasing probably the scariest cryptid out there. He's ready to drop an elbow on it like Macho Man Randy Savage back in the day. Let's learn about Dogman when we come back right after this on Spaced Out Radio. All right.
All right, I'm going to step up here and grab something.
We got about 5 minutes, Joe.
Okay.
I'm going to show all you guys something here on StreamYard. Let me just do this first. Hold on. Remember, we'll take questions in hour number 2. For all of our new listeners, I'm seeing a lot of new faces here, and thank you for listening in tonight. Really appreciate it. And I'm just going to remind you that we are a live radio show, which means that we are going to be going to commercial break to time everything out with our radio station. So you kind of get the background sights of what's going on here while we are on a commercial break here, so-called. So you get to hear the conversation. I want to share something with you. Gary the Dutchman, owner of Mighty Moose Beard Oil, sends me this picture here, while he's watching the show. And, because he's Dutch, and, them Dutch are cheap bastards, he doesn't even share his potato chips with us. He makes sure he keeps those away. Steve Edmond, Gary the Dutchman's in Chilliwack, too, so you could probably run over there and grab some of that chips and dip while you watch us. And, there we are on the big screen right here, and, those are looking like some nice potato chips there, very crisp. And it looks like we got bacon and onion dip here. Bacon and onion dip. I'm just, I'd like some of that. I'm not going to lie. I'd like some of that bacon and onion dip right now. And I think I just gained weight trying to, look at this stuff. But anyways, that's how Gary the Dutchman is spending tonight. I know. Doesn't invite any of us over. And but that's okay. That's okay. We're okay with that, Gary. We're okay. He says, come on over any time. Yeah, right. You're 4 hours away. I can't come over. Come on, man. He's laughing right now. I can feel him laughing. I can hear him. That typical Dutch laugh. All right. So let's see who else is new in here. Well, Steve Edmonds going to come over there, Gary the Dutchman. He's coming over. Wants them chips. Black Dragon, thank you so much for that awesome super chat, man. Appreciate that. Want to say a big thank you as well to Andrew, to Ozzy Grace, looking lovely tonight, Apollo, Tim, Whisper, Fabster, and Nicola for the awesome super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show each and every day. No Vayner, there is no scent of beard oil that has breakfast for dinner scent. We do not promote breakfast for dinner around here. Joedy here, he's a tough guy. There's no way he eats breakfast for dinner. You eat breakfast for dinner?
Every day.
You bastard. I thought you were better than that.
No, we do that a lot here in the States.
If I could throw this pen at you right now, I would. Terminator T800, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. Who else has walked right in here? Looney, what's happening? You're worth $1 here, buddy. You're worth $1. Oh, there's Cousin Gary. Don't diss the Dutchman. Cousin Gary, by the way, he's 62 years old. His mustache is 58. Just so you know. He's got a 58-year-old mustache. It is highly coiffed. Highly coiffed. Yes. Let's see here. D. McKenna, good to see you. Let's see here. Gotta love Cousin Gary. He's literally my cousin. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Clam. How you doing? Well, thank you, Gorgeous Marie, for that awesome super chat. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. You've been listening for like 4 years now. Over 4 years. Iron Dogger, good to see you. All right, we have about 45 seconds before we're going to come back here. Terrible breakfast for dinner, people.
Gotta try it.
I do, every breakfast. Eva. About 15 seconds here. Murray F., how you doing? And Marlena over in Spreaker, how are you? Most of our chatters are in YouTube now. But here we go, everyone, with the second half hour. Sit back, relax, get your horns up, because Bumblefoot's going to start playing right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We bring in Joedy Cook tonight. He is the man, the myth, and the legend behind the North American Dogman project, and we are talking Dogman all night long here on the big show. And Joedy, I can tell you this. I've seen Sasquatch. I've been chased out of a forest by Sasquatch. But there is nothing more that freaks me out than the potential thought that here in British Columbia, where I am, that Dogman is running around. And I know people in my area who have seen Dogman. And I can tell you, this creature just seems to scare the bejesus out of many of us out there. What makes this creature so intimidating?
Well, it's an apex predator. It's the thing that's in everybody's nightmare. This thing will kill you. This is the difference between Bigfoot and any other cryptid, is that it being an apex predator. This is something that's, believe it or not, it's a worldwide phenomenon. It's just not something that's happening in North America. It's happening in all different parts of the world. We've got reports going all the way to, from like India and even Africa of some type of, canine type creature. This thing is, I think what people love about it the most is that it's mystical, and it's probably one of the most believable type monsters that are out there that, people grew up on watching movies and things like that. People, I think, really believe that, the possibility of something like this could exist.
this creature, from people who have come face to face with it, literally will say they almost get like a telepathic message from it saying, you better leave. Or if you're carrying a rifle, it would not be a good idea to pull that trigger. Is this creature truly telepathically communicating with people?
Well, like I said, we get a lot of reports where, like I said, it's either, flesh and blood, where they've said these things are supernatural, where they're, telepathically talking to you, or it comes in through a portal or something to that effect. And then, like I said, extraterrestrial connected. So believe it or not, a lot of these as a whole fall within the supernatural. We do get a lot of these, and we've actually got a few reports from different people that has had good encounters with them, where they have basically, when they have talked to them, or it was talking to them, it was nothing that was dangerous or nothing to the point where it was threatening, but it was just basically, you're just in the wrong area, just leave, not, leave or I'm going to kill you type thing. It was very pleasant, where they have actually picked that up. So we do get a lot of reports dealing with that. But like I said, the biggest thing right now, if you break it down into the three, they really fall into the supernatural.
Okay, so one of the arguments that I always hear about both Bigfoot and Dogman is, if these creatures have supernatural abilities, how can they be apex predators feeding off of animals such as deer or wild boar or any type of animals that's out there?
Well, the thing of it is with Bigfoot, okay, and like I said, I've researched this for years. Bigfoot is nothing like what the movies have, where he's going into campsites and ripping the campsite apart and killing everybody. There really isn't any definite reports out there where Bigfoot has just killed somebody. He'll chase you out of the area. He'll throw rocks. He'll throw sticks, bluff charges, things like that. But Dogman is a whole complete different situation when it comes to that. So between the two, you're better off with an encounter running into Bigfoot than you are Dogman. It's just not every single encounter where you run into Dogman has, something to do with your, it's trying to kill you or it attacked you or something, to that effect. It's just, you're better off on the Bigfoot siding, of not getting hurt, to a Dogman sighting. Believe it or not, a lot of these Dogman sightings where people have had interacting with them has been from a pretty good distance, but where it's got to the point where they leave the area, this thing is still tracking them and they're able to see it. Bigfoot encounters that are very similar to that. Bigfoot, you can hear him while you're leaving the area, and he's not letting you see him, compared to Dogman that's letting you see him. But here's another thing that we noticed on a lot of the reports that were coming in, when situations like that where people have seen a Dogman and they're, slowly moving the area, and then they know they have one that's tracking them, but they end up seeing another one, and then they end up seeing another one. So where it's kind of like, they're letting you see the one, and they're trying to flank you, or they're trying to, get you on each side, like a, hunting pattern or something like that. That's very typical to, say, Velociraptor, where they allow you to see one and let you know it's there, and you're concentrating on that one, but you're not able to see the other ones that are either off to the side or, in front of you. So it's a completely different situation as it is with Bigfoot.
No, and I can see that, and I can appreciate that. But what has this creature so pissed off, like a house cat? Why do we think it's so angry?
Well, it's not. I don't think that it's angry. It's like this, and I think this is the same in the Bigfoot community. as it is in, humans. You have good humans, you have bad humans, and you have some that's just not right. And you have that, I believe, in the Bigfoot community, and you have that in the Dogman community. But you have to understand you're dealing with an apex predator. If let's say you're in Africa, okay, and you run across a lion, the chances are that lion's not going to kill you if he's already have eaten. If he's already eaten, he's probably going to go ahead and ignore you. He's only going to attack you if he's hungry or he finds you to be a threat. Now, with Dogman, the situation is he is very territorial, and he's going to do what is necessary to let you know he's there. He's going to let you know that he's willing to attack you. He's willing to kill you, straight up front. So I'm hoping that's what the kind of answer that you're looking for. But it's just with these particular creatures, and yet to understand everything's a theory about this, is that they're just apex predators, and that's how they are.
I understand that, and I can truly appreciate that, Joedy. But like going into the forest, the stories I hear from people, is that they feel absolutely terrified for no reason, and it's like all their hackles on their body just jump up, and they're looking around trying to figure out where this creature is, what it's all about, and they haven't seen anything yet. They just know that something's around, and then all of a sudden they catch the glimpse, and they are scared as anything. I mean, this thing just permeates fear, even if it's not even seen.
We do get a lot of reports like that where people are very sensitive to feeling, and they're able to pick up it being there before it actually even shows up. Just the energy that this thing puts off, the fear that it puts off. People are picking this up. That's not unusual to get reports where, you're in a situation, you're really uneasy. You might have a particular smell that you pick up. Something in the environment's just not right. And you just get that hair standing on the back of your neck, and on your arms, and you're just trying to figure out what it is, and then you see it. I mean, it's crazy, because I would see the reports like this compared to Bigfoot reports. You don't get too many of that where people are just so uneasy, and they feel like something's not right when it comes to Bigfoot. Because, see, I think Bigfoot puts off a different vibe. He's very gentle. I believe he's very gentle. He's not out to hurt you, and he's definitely not going to let you know he's there. And you have to sit there and think, how many times have you been out in the field and you probably walked right past one? Because, animals, they're able to blend into, the environment. Deers and rabbits and so forth, that because of their coating, if Bigfoot wants you to know he's there, he's going to let you know you're there. Dogman, believe it or not, we get a lot of reports where people feel it way before the sighting actually happens.
The only time I have been scared in the forest was probably back in 2016, and I was gathering firewood, and we went down this track. My partner and I went down this track, and my little guy was in the truck, and it was just eerie. Like, we were still in the truck, and just something felt wrong. And we pulled over, saw these two trees that we wanted to take down. They were side by side, and I get out of the vehicle, and, it was like that energy you could just cut like a knife. Like, I've been around Sasquatch. Everything has energy. And for people who have had those encounters, Joedy, I'm sure you'll agree with this. You learn to recognize the difference between something that feels paranormal to something that feels like Bigfoot to something that feels like a ghost or an alien or UFOs. This felt completely different. Like I was scared. It didn't. I've been around bears. I've seen cougars. I've been very close to cougars. Okay, and this felt nothing like I'd ever felt before. And so I got out of the vehicle and I said, look,
anyone can be ready for back to school. But with Staples Connect, you can be more than ready. Like, I got everything from my classroom and saved a ton ready. We've got more backpacks, more pens, and more supplies than you ever thought possible. So double knot your shoes, gas up the minivan, and smear war paint on your face. Staples has everything you need and more for the new school year. Let's do this. Just visit your nearest Staples store or go to staplesconnect.com for inspiration.
Every editor knows the perfect video needs the perfect music to make it really pop. Find it easily on Premium Beat, where you'll hear world-class music produced by award-winning musicians. Best of all, unlike other music providers, our license gives you tracks for a lifetime. Pay once and never again. Save 25% on your next track. Just visit premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast to redeem your coupon. That's premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast.
I said very loudly because I try to be one with nature and explain what I'm doing. And I remember saying, okay, look, I'm just here to take these 2 dead trees. These are the type of trees that cause forest fires. It's very beneficial to you if I take these trees down and get them out of here. And I said, once we get these trees down, we will leave. And all of a sudden the energy just kind of piped on down, and we took the 2 trees, we continued down the road at about another 3/4 of a mile, found this other tree, got out of the vehicle. That energy was 10 times worse down the road. And my partner looks at me and she's like, I don't want to be here. Let's get out of here. Something bad is going to happen if we stay here. And I don't know what it is to this day. I can surmise it. The image that I was given in my head at that time was that it felt like a Dogman. I know now, years later, that a couple of First Nations friends of mine were hunting near that area and actually had 2 Dogmen in their scope. And they ended up leaving the area because First Nations don't want to mess with Dogman or Sasquatch. Right? I mean, it's only us who seem to do that. So I kind of know what that feels like. I never want to feel that again, Joedy.
I've had that feeling before. There's one particular area that I've been to, which is Danube National Forest in Kentucky. And, I don't go down there that much as I used to. It's just, like I said, the energy is just so thick down there. And it's one of these forests that the Native Americans never step foot in. They always said there's something evil about this forest. And I've been there, like you said, a couple of times, and I saw something I truly believe was a Dogman. And I felt that before I even seen it. And it was just like one of these places, I spent 20 years in the Army. I've been in combat, and I was more scared and unsure being in Danube National Forest than I was in Iraq. It was just, I had to be there. I wanted to be there, but I couldn't wait to get away from there. There's only been a few areas where I researched Dogman that has been like that, and you have areas such as like Bray Road. You have areas, the Shenango Valley up in Pennsylvania that are just like that. The thickness in the area. It's just, these things put off energy. They put off fear. and you're still trying to figure out why and how are they doing this? How are they able to do this? But they're doing it. And is it supernatural that they're able to put off this type of fare and enough energy? So if you go within, that bubble, are they just telling you or making it so where you're not going any further, that it kind of pushes you out? I believe so. It's just, I don't think it's just one. I think it's just, so much of a group of them where they're able to put that energy out like that. And it's not unusual. We get stuff like this all the time talking about, similar to that.
We have about 6 minutes here before we go to break here. I want to ask you, how do you search for Dogman? All right. I know what to do for Bigfoot research, but how does it differ from researching Sasquatch?
It really isn't any different. The thing of it is, when you go out to an area where there's activity, you look for any type of evidence showing that the creature was there. Bigfoot, people look at broken branches, some type of a stick formation or something like that. Dogman, what you look for is not so much broken sticks. You look at markings on trees. Because one thing that we notice in a lot of different areas, you find scratch marks on trees, or you find like bite marks on trees. And that is kind of a tall tale of, there's definitely something there. You look for tracks. But that's...
Okay, let me stop you there. What's the difference between a wolf track and a Dogman track?
Well, a typical wolf track, okay, is anywhere can go up to about 5 inches, okay, depending on the size of the wolf. But you have to understand something. If you're in an area where there's no wolves and you've got a large canine track, okay, and kind of compare it to a domestic dog, then there's definitely something there. Now, I have a 140-pound German Shepherd male, so I have a casting of his print. So he's a big boy, okay? So I have a casting of his print that I keep with me, so I can compare it to, just in case if there's a coyote print or a coy dog or something to that effect. And the shape of the print has a lot to do with it, because the digits are actually a lot longer and a lot wider than a typical canine style track.
That's big.
Yeah.
That is big.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when you see something like that, do you feel that, like with Bigfoot, they seem to travel in packs? You may only see one, but they seem to travel in packs together. I know when we had the encounter with one, the second one showed up from a completely different area, and that's when we got chased out. A lot of researchers will call them sentries. Are Dogman more in a group pack, or like wolves, or are they more solitary?
What we're believing is what I believe they run in small packs, but there's always what you would call a lead creature or lead Dogman. Basically, you have the pack. The pack can consist of 2 to 3. Okay, then you have one that's actually a point man is the best way to say it. He's out there first going through an area, and the other ones would basically kind of follow him. And that way, there's a barrier between him and the pack. So if he sees something or hears something, he's able to be in contact with it first. So they'll be able to be in contact with him, and that's when they go out and spread out into, what I call like an attack zone, where same thing what I was talking about, like a velociraptor type thing where, it sees you, you see it, and it's letting you see him while the other ones come in, for the kill. Wolves normally don't act like that. It has happened in situations where wolves have done that, but wolves normally come at you full blown. But in these incidents, people are seeing it. They're seeing this when they're letting them see it. And we even had one of our researchers that particular incident actually happened to him. And the one that came out to the side, he ended up shooting it point blank in the chest with a .357 Magnum.
Yeah.
And it did not affect it at all.
Well, that's the thing. Can this creature be shot and killed? We hear all these stories about people who have fired on this creature and hit it, much like Bigfoot, except we never hear about these things going down.
Well, I have a theory on that, okay? And my theory is when people talk about they're shooting this thing, if you look at the description of Dogman, it's very thin, has a massive chest, long arms, long legs. I believe that when you look at the chest itself, the skeleton of it, you have the sternum. Ours is just a small, piece of bone that goes down the center of their chest, and you have, the ribs. I believe this thing is very much larger where it goes across and covers majority of the chest, and you just have a small pieces of rib, and it's very thick, and it's there to protect the vital organs. So if someone does shoot it in the chest, it's able to absorb the shock from the bullet because it's a very thick bone, and I really believe that. And then when you get a lot of these stories where these things are, they're standing up and you hear like a popping sound. You get a lot of that, a lot of reports. And I'm thinking that these things probably has a separate type of joint in the hip and a separate type of joint in the shoulders. So when,
right.
It has a joint for when it's all, when it's down on all fours, and the joints when it's up, on two legs, and you hear that popping sound. So I think their anatomy is a lot different from your typical canine.
Makes sense. Joedy, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Joedy Cook, head of the North American Dogman Project. When we come back, we're going to get Joedy to share some Dogman stories and reports, and we'll take your questions as well as we enter hour number 2 of Dogman Tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back, right after this. All right, man, we're clear.
Okay.
Corey Christopher, how are you? I had really spicy what the hell did I eat for dinner?
Breakfast.
No, I had real spicy butter chicken for dinner. And I am like heartburning, and I'm already on Tums, and it's like, oh my God. But it was so good, I would totally do it again. But I'm like, oh my God.
I'm not a big person with spicy food,
Oh, I get you. Silent Edge Manny, how are you? I know we have a lot of new listeners checking us out for the first time tonight, especially in our chat room. I just want you guys to know, as a quick reminder, we are a live radio show, so that's why we take commercial breaks. But on the YouTube side of things, we kind of just hang out here and shoot the breeze, so to speak. So that's where why you're seeing kind of the show take a pause. We're not a podcast. We're a live radio show. So I just wanted to let you guys know, and that way you're not like, what the hell is this all about? Anyways, so that works. Give me 2 seconds here, because we know Gary the Dutchman is watching tonight out in his comfy abode in Chilliwack, British Columbia. He's got his potato chips, his bacon and cheese potato chip dip, and we're all kind of jealous of that right now. But he is also the man behind the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. I'm using my favorite here, the Winter Blend. If you go to MightyMooseBeard.com, you can get some yourself. And I'm going to tell you, Gary, he's got some good stuff going on here. Hey, and Zane, thank you so much for that super chat. Really appreciate that. Long time, no time, by the way. Anyways, there's one thing a Dutch person hates to do in life, and that's give you a deal. Okay, they want every dollar for themselves. And Gary here, he barely has any teeth left because he's grinded them all because our Spaced Out Radio listeners have used promo code SOR 2019 to get a deal from Mighty Moose Beard Oil. So you go check them on out. Remember, you're paying in Canadian dollars. All right, show you how it works. You just grab the squeeze bottle like so. All right, get a little bit like that. You drench it into your hands like so. Then you rub it together in your hands. Your hands get nice and oily. And then you just massage it in. That's it. That's all you do is massage it in. It's all natural. No chemicals. Gary the Dutchman's got a good thing going on here. But, it smells great too. But you got some on your hands. What do you do? Ladies, this is for you too. You can just massage it into your hair. Just massage it in. It helps prevent split ends. It helps keep your hair feeling natural oil, which your hair should be naturally oily. That's what I learned as I grew up my hair. And once again, if you want to piss off Gary the Dutchman, go to MightyMooseBeard.com. Check out promo code SOR 2019. Order yourself some beard oil up today. And like I said, use the code. There's nothing that's going to get Gary more angry than having to use that code, because you can't pay full price. And Dutch people love it when you pay full price. Take advantage of it. MightyMooseBeard.com today. Sorry, Joedy. Had to get that commercial in there.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Selena, how are you? Welcome to our chat room. Jorge Osorio, welcome to the chat room. You're from Chicago. Great to have you here, my friend. Thank you so much. What else we got here? Sinister Vax, good to see you. Let's see here. I'm going to pop a couple more Tums here. That apple cider vinegar is disgusting. I'm not taking that. Uh-huh. Look at Gary the Dutchman here. Thanks, Dutch. By the way, the bacon chips taste great. What a jerk. What a complete jerk. My hair smells great, though. Not going to lie. Not going to lie.
I tell you, Dave, what you might want to try. Do you have Sally's Beauty up there?
No.
Okay. Look for a shampoo called Sterling Silver.
Oh, yeah?
It's for people who have gray hair. And I use it, and it really brings out the grayness in the hair. It takes away all the yellow and the darkness and stuff, and it gives this really beautiful gray look.
Well, your hair for high and tight, you're really packing some stunning hair there. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Hold on 1 second. We got like 15 seconds. Thank you to Inzane, Sunny, Marie, Black Dragon, Andrew, Grace, Apollo, Tim, Whisper, Fap, and Nicola for the amazing super chats tonight. We appreciate the love and support. Thank you to all of our new listeners who hit that subscribe button. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor and hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Zabaglione. Zabaglione is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Joedy Cook from the North American Dogman Project as we are looking into this insanely creepy creature that is called the Dogman. And before we get to a few stories here, Joedy, I want to ask you, what's the biggest difference between a Dogman and a werewolf?
A Dogman is a flesh and blood creature that looks very much like your typical werewolf, something from like The Howling or something from like Van Helsing. Now, Wolfman is definitely something that is what you get in movies like the 1941 Lon Chaney, where one organism transfers into another organism. The whole thing is, I kind of frown on that because, logically, physically, one organism cannot change into another one. It would basically kill you. It would destroy your whole insides. But that is the biggest difference. But when people talk about Wolfman in the same realm, is that we get reports of a creature that is very similar in appearance to a Wolfman. So I have a few stories I can talk about.
Sure.
That we've had those particular incidents. I think it's probably the same creature, but it's just the characteristics look more like your Wolfman type creature than an actually Dogman, which is more canine looking.
Could you share a story with us?
Yeah, here in Ohio, and it's a very well known. It's the London, Ohio werewolf case, and the people who have seen this particular creature always described it as a Wolfman, something like your 1941 Lon Chaney type creature. In appearance, didn't have a...
Anyone can be ready for back to school. But with Staples Connect, you can be more than ready. Like, I got everything from my classroom and saved a ton ready. We've got more backpacks, more pens, and more supplies than you ever thought possible. So double knot your shoes, gas up the minivan, and smear war paint on your face. Staples has everything you need and more for the new school year. Let's do this. Just visit your nearest Staples store or go to staplesconnect.com for inspiration.
Expand your influence by adding high-quality music to your videos. Premium Beat tracks are produced by award-winning musicians at world-class studios. Plus, our license gives you tracks for a lifetime. Pay once and never again. Save 25% on your next track at premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast.
Big snout, it had the high pointed ears, looked very human in the face, very human, body shape, but it was hair and it looked like a Wolfman. There's another case in what do they call Shenango Valley werewolf, where you have your typical Dogman there, but you have what they were calling the wereboy, because it was a small one that very looked like a Wolfman from a 1940s movie. So you do get cases like this where you have that particular type of look on the creature. But is it the same type of species of Dogman? Probably is. But there again, it also could be a different breed of the species. And we get these stories that are just fascinating because a lot of them, believe it or not, have clothes or wearing some type of clothing. And it's strange, that we're getting these reports where people are seeing what they are calling werewolves or wolfmen type of werewolf. There was a case in northern Kentucky where this woman was jogging, and this is in a residential area, and there's a small little park with a wood line, and this is early morning, and she's jogging. She looks down, she sees this thing standing, hairy, but it had just a shirt, and she said it was like a wolf man, but they call it werewolf too. But it was, the way she described it, it was, something out of an old horror movie. It had the kind of the dog nose. It had the, teeth coming out, on the bottom jaw. You saw the high pointed ears, but it didn't look like your typical canine. But that particular case was just so fascinating because it was so close to, to my home. And that the fact that it was wearing clothes. And there was another one where a woman saw one look through her window, same thing, wearing some type of clothing. And the Shenango Valley Wolf Boy, there's a lot of newspaper articles on that and drawings. It's the same thing. So is there another type of species of what you call werewolf? Like I said, or wolfman. I just can't see transformation. I just can't accept that. We do get stories about it, but these stories, like the Shenango Valley Wolf Boy, they're just so fascinating. You have to look into it. Are these things wearing clothing, because they're trying to mimic humans? So where, they look not so threatening, that's kind of a possibility. And this is something really new to the Dogman community, that these cases have been popping up within, the last 10 years. And that's the odd part about it.
You said that there has been an increase of reports coming in over this year comparatively last year when most things were locked down. What kind of reports are you getting? I'd love for you to share a couple of reports with us that have really tipped the scales to this phenomena.
Well, we had one which was extremely fascinating. There's this guy that raised German Shepherds. He had a breeding area and is in a very rural area. I think the closest neighbor to his house was, probably, 50 to 100 yards on each side. Very heavily woods behind his home. So he had the kennel area that's set right behind his house. Single father. He, been raising German Shepherds, I think, probably, 15 years total. So him and his daughter was out one day walking in the woods behind the house, and he saw something that was laying on the ground there, and he was just looking at it, and he was like, maybe that's one of my dogs that got out. And the thing was, like you said, was in a laying position up against a tree, and then it gets up on all fours, and it kind of like starts coming, towards him, and then it stands up on two legs, and it's walking real slow towards him. But, this is about, 30, 40 yards away from him. Okay. So he grabs his daughter, who is young. He's holding her. He's walking back, keep looking back at this thing. It keeps taking a couple steps forward. And it got to one point where it just stayed, and he got back into, his residential area. So nothing really happened for a couple of days. Then the dogs were going crazy one night. He goes out, and one of his dogs is dead. just ripped apart.
Hmm.
Now these dogs are in kennels by itself, and it happened like every other night. Something would break into the kennel and kill the dogs. So he lost 8 out of 15 German Shepherds.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah, and I've got photographs of the bodies. I've got X-rays that was from the veterinarian. I've got the veterinary report she gave us, and the veterinarian stated that he's never seen these type of bite marks, on these dogs, and these are German Shepherds. These are not, these dogs will fight back. In one particular video that we've got, where you walk in the back of the corral, you can see where it just tore the back off, and and when you bring it open, you see the dog laying there was still there, what it killed. And he just got to the point, he's losing money. He's fair for his daughter's life, his life. So he got up and left, and that particular area is still, to this day, they are still seeing these creatures up there, and people are moving. It's got to the point, I believe, in this particular area, there's only 2 residents that's still there that hasn't left. Most of the people have left.
No kidding. Because of this creature.
Because of this creature.
Now, so obviously that would mean that the creature has been seen more than once, because I was going to say, like where I live in a very rural area where SOR headquarters is, I mean, we get a lot of bears. There's bears all over the place. This is something that it sounds like something a hungry bear would try and do to get into some sort of chicken coop or animal coop in order to feed.
Right, but the thing of it is, bears are different. Bears are nuisance animals. They let you know they're there, okay? And normally, a normal bear, and this is my opinion, that he's not going to go and, when there's more than one dog in a corral or in an area, he's not going to try and get in and just get one dog with all these other dogs going crazy. This particular incident, what I believe is that this Dogman found these dogs as a threat, somehow as a threat to them. Okay? And even though they were, contained where they could not get out, but they were still a threat, or he was, this Dogman was proving a point that, I can get you any time, and I'm doing this by going after your dogs. So it's a strange situation that you have this, because these things toy with people. And this goes into the next story. In Utah, we've been doing this investigation where this another community, and I think there was 7 houses that they were pretty well sparred, but you were able to see each of the house. And the people always had like little community functions where all the neighbors would come out and have little barbecues and things like that. So this particular area, and it's not far from the Skinwalker Ranch, and they know that there was a Bigfoot in the area. Okay, so it's rural area, it's flat, but there's, in one particular area, there's a lot of woods. Okay, so they know there was a Bigfoot in the area because they've seen it across the field, but the Bigfoot never bothered any of the homes, and never bothered any of the livestock or anything, to that effect, where the people in the area were afraid of it. Okay, but it did let the people see it. So pets start coming up missing, livestock start coming up being killed. So they knew it wasn't the Bigfoot, because this Bigfoot in this area had never done it before, never bothered anything. So they start seeing this large wolf, a very large, oversized wolf. People are seeing it on all fours. People are seeing it on 2 legs. And it got to the point where the police start showing up, and the police are, looking in the area. They're not finding anything. But what they're finding is the trees all around, this one particular area. I think there's there are like 3 houses, I think, in this one particular area along the wood line. And all these trees were just scratches. I mean, just scratches all over these trees. And we have the pictures where this thing was basically marking its territory along the tree line. So one night, they hear this god-awful scream taking place. And they said, this one particular area, residents who we're talking to, a lot of the activity was happening there. But she was stating that, people, they're coming out of their homes. They're listening to this. They know one of them's definitely the Bigfoot. And the other one is this other type of creature. And they're in some type of fighting each other. Okay. And this lasted for about 10, 15 minutes. And then it all silence. Okay. But they never ever seen the Bigfoot again. Never saw the Bigfoot. Anytime, even to this day. And this happened actually last year. Okay. And never saw the Bigfoot again. But this Dogman stayed in the area. So this woman, she has 3 horses, and whatever it was tried to get the horses, tried to attack the horse. She had all these scratch marks, all on the back of these horses. One particular one, in the front part of the chest, you see, and I can show you pictures of this, 5 claw marks going down the front of the chest, meaning that this thing was in front of the horse, and the horse was fighting off this thing, but it was able to get one swipe on front of the horse. And it's really, it's awful looking, because you can see how the front of the horse started to swell and bubble out, like it got some type of infection from the scratch. And the daughter, one night, where her room is, there's security light there that's like right by the corral. So she heard the horses kind of, get upset, and the light pops on. She looks out the window and she sees this, what she described was a large dog-like wolf doing what she would said was like a army crawl on the ground by the corral.
Wow.
Yeah, and she drew a picture of it, and it's really beautiful. And this picture that she did, and
can I just ask you a question right there in regards to that? Because a lot of people will ask the question, why didn't she have her camera with her? She has a cell phone. Why wasn't that with her while she was watching this, or why didn't she turn it on?
Well, she was a young girl.
Okay.
Yeah, she was, 12 years old. 12 years old, they have phones, but, this was just, something that happened in the middle of the night, and she didn't think anything of it, I guess. But the mother had a cell phone, and she took all these other pictures of what took place there. So, this woman's a animal right activist. Okay. She loves animals. So she was walking on a trail behind her home, and she's noticing all these scratch marks on the trees. So she's taking all these pictures. Well, there was a fawn laying right in the middle of the trail there, and the reproduction organs were missing on the animal. Okay, so she decided she didn't want to leave it there so other predators would go and run off with it. So she goes up to her house to get a shovel because she's going to go bury this. When she came back, it's gone. It's no longer there. Okay, so she's thinking maybe a predator might have went off and picked it up. And I asked her, I said, weren't you afraid, knowing with all this stuff going on, that this thing might be out there in the woods? And she said, yes, I do get scared, but I do like to take my walks, but I don't take my walks far in as I used to. I'm still within where I can see my home. And so she goes back to put the shovel back up, and then she comes back down the trail, and it's laying there again. Same spot. And this has happened to her. It has happened to her husband, where whatever this thing is playing with her, with this body of it, with this, fawn. It's kind of a strange situation, that, they're dealing with. And even, like I say, even to this day, this thing is still in the area. We have cameras and stuff up, but we haven't been able to catch it. But, like I said, there's just, it's a really odd situation, what's going on with this particular dogman in this area. And they know it's a dogman. They've definitely seen this thing.
With 2 minutes to go here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour, how are all of these creatures having the ability to stay elusive from any type of trail cam or camera system?
Well, here's the thing. This is a belief, okay? Trail cams and so forth are made out of petroleum, okay? They're plastic. And I think that these things are able to pick up the smell. And either they're unfamiliar with it, or it might do something to their sense of smell where they don't go in to where the camera is. Now, bears are different. Bears will go straight to the camera and they'll eat the camera. It has happened. Okay, but when it comes to like Dogman and Bigfoot, a lot of these trail cams, they have infrared lighting on them. Okay, maybe they can pick the infrared up from the camera. It's I don't know. It's a really odd situation and I thought about this. Why is it that no one is getting really good pictures? They got to be a reason why we're not getting pictures from trail cams. Is it they're able to pick up the infrared? Is it that the smell from the petroleum is pushing them away? We just don't know.
Nicola is asking, with 1 minute to go, so you believe this creature has a good intelligence?
I believe it's intelligent. I believe it's problem solving. Definitely. Common sense, probably not, but intelligence, yes.
That is amazing. And I believe Sasquatch has that ability too. It always makes me wonder, though, as we're about to head to break here, Joedy, with these creatures, they always seem blurry. I don't believe that everybody is a bad photographer or bad videographer. I think people have tried to catch some stuff and caught some things, yet no matter what, it comes out blurry. I don't know why, but I think they have this ability to do something along those lines. Joedy, you stay right there. We are halfway through the show tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are joined by Joedy Cook, the president, the head, the creator of the North American Dogman Project. We will take more of your questions in our chat room when we come back. Dogman, does it make you a little bit more afraid to head into the woods? I know it does for me. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're clear. 1 second here. Raul, I know what you're talking about. There's different chat rooms for that. We're talking Dogman tonight. We're not talking vaxes. We're not talking politics. We're not talking that stuff. All right? My chat room. All right? I'm the one who keeps bringing you back in because I like you. Play by my rules. This isn't a democracy in this chat room. It's a Daveocracy. Or Davianism, whatever you want to call it. I make the rules. All right? Enjoy the show. I know you like our programming. You're always more than welcome here, but I'm singling you out right now because I've asked you twice now. All right? Come on. You know better. Sorry about that.
Politics.
100 other rooms out there, thousands of other rooms. Let's take a break. I'm sick and tired of that crap. It's not just him. I mean, it's very easy to get sucked into that conversation. I get sucked into it all the time as well. Okay, but I just really try, after people have had from the time they wake up until the time they listen to this show, they've been inundated with politics. They've been inundated with bad news. They've been inundated with COVID and everything. And this, I try and make this as free as possible of those conversations, because people have had enough. This is their escape here. This is their escape. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is like way past my bedtime.
Yeah, but you're doing well. You're doing well.
In South Dakota, we're looking forward to exploring new roads and wide open spaces. When you're ready to travel, go great places. Learn more at travelsouthdakota.com.
Do you like low taxes more than tall buildings? Does quality of life sound like an oxymoron? Do you wish work from home was more about home? Then Ohio is for you. Ohio has a business-friendly climate with 0% taxes on corporate income, R&D investments, and goods sold out of state. With a highly skilled and growing workforce, a low cost of living, and a high quality of life, Ohio is better for businesses and employees. Because Ohio isn't built for followers, they're building for leaders. Check out ohioisforleaders.com to learn more.
Oh, hi, Shar. How are you? Vayner, that's exactly what the North American Dogman Project does. Are there talks to create an organization like MUFON, but for cryptids?
Yeah, before we leave, if you want to talk about it, North American Dogman Project, we have over 700 members worldwide. Yeah, it's huge. We have chapters all over the world. We get stuff coming in all over the world.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
How many emails a day you get?
Message-wise, we get anywhere from 7 to 10 reports a day.
It's amazing. I was talking. Do you ever listen to any of these creepypasta stories? I had a guest on Friday night. His channel on YouTube is called Swamp Dweller. He gets a lot of Dogman stories sent to him, man, and Skinwalker stories.
Yeah.
He was telling us he gets anywhere between 50 and 150 emails a day from people telling them about their encounters with these creatures.
I kind of frown on that, to be honest. When people say they get that many. We're a large organization. We probably get that in a month. Maybe it's a lot of it's from his or something, but we get a lot of stuff, and a lot of people do get other stuff. Reports, but I really find it hard to believe when someone gets 150 reports a day. I don't know.
I don't know his email. I'm just going by what he told me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he does.
Well, he's got like 231,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's pretty popular. That doesn't. It wouldn't surprise me. D Swagger, how are you? We've got about 45 seconds here, my friend.
He probably gets that many emails.
Yeah.
In general. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say a big thank you to Chad Smith. I'm Chad Smith, by the way. To Inzane, to Sunny, Marie, Dragon or Black Dragon, Andrew, Grace, Apollo, Tim, Whisper, Fapster, and Nicola for the amazing super chats tonight. Really do appreciate the love and support of Spaced Out Radio that you guys show. Thank you to all our new subscribers who have hit that subscribe button and rang that bell. We really appreciate seeing our numbers go up on a daily basis, and it's all because of you. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight from the North American Dogman Project. We have Joedy Cook. He is the founder of this organization that is well over 700 members, and we are talking about this strange creature that is called Dogman. Now, a lot of people in the chat room earlier, Joedy, were asking if there is a tie between the Dogman and any sort of skinwalker or Wendigo. What is your thoughts?
Those also... the Wendigo in Native American culture, that's their devil, So the Skinwalker is something that is also Native American folklore. We have had reports where I believe when people, especially around in the Four Corners, Utah and so forth, where they're seeing these things, they always refer it as a skinwalker because it has something to do or close by to the Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, even this incident that happened in Utah with that I just talked about, one of the residents there even mentioned it as a skinwalker.
Really?
So yeah. It really depends. Like I said, in the Four Corners area, a lot of times these dogmen are considered skinwalkers because it's so embedded in the culture there, not just the Native American culture, but even, the European culture, white people and so forth in that particular area. That's what they think it is and believe it is. It probably will be, but I think a lot I think Dogman and Skinwalker is basically the same thing. The indigo, or Wendigo rather, it's something completely different. That's evil. That's pure evil. And it's something like I said, a devil, or it's able to possess a body of a person and make them do horrible things. So that's a completely different entity, I think, from the Wendigo or from the Skinwalker and Dogman.
Yeah, see, the other thing, too, that I've learned about the Skinwalker and Wendigos is they have this innate ability to be able to mimic voices that and to try and lure you into areas, forests, situations that you cannot control. And do we see that with the Dogman as well?
Well, to go back to the Skinwalker, when I was in the Four Corners area doing some investigation, I was talking to some of the Native Americans there when I was asking them about the Skinwalker. I was figured they're going to tell me, well, this is, a person that's able to change into a wolf or able to change into a deer or something to that effect. But they're telling me what the true situation with the Skinwalker is if one particular Native American had an argument with another one over land or water, a bad car sale, or something like that, they call a Skinwalker in, and puts like a mojo on them. And one even said to me, if I want this person dead, that skinwalker would do it. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, well, has nothing to do with your typical skinwalker stories that you hear where you're driving down the road and you see, a person walking, and then all of a sudden they turn into a wolf, or they turn into, another, type of, creature. But what these Native Americans are telling me is something completely different. Now this thing's like a hitman, or, someone who, puts mojos on someone. This is who you call. So has the whole thing of, the skinwalker changed because of modern day compared to, ancient history, of Native American culture? It just completely blew my mind when this, Native Americans were, when they were telling me about this. So, and that's where I believe that, your typical Dogman and your typical skinwalker who's in the shape of a wolf or a Dogman is probably the same thing.
See, that stuff is just scary, man.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there is a correlation between the areas that they are, I'm going to use the term haunting here, Joedy? Is there a correlation between the areas where, say, maybe in drier climates we have more Wendigo sightings? Actually, Wendigo seem to be more up north, but more skinwalker sightings in the drier desert areas. In the more forested areas, we have Dogman, and in the higher north, where it's a little bit colder and drearier and darker, that's where we get into the Wendigos. Do you think there's a correlation between that?
Yes, I mean, actually, I even thought about that, and I actually was doing some research on that, and you're specifically right on what you said. It's how these particular areas, of much darker, colder areas, you have a lot of Wendigo activity taking place. And even in dry areas and desert, out west, you have a lot of that also. But when it comes to skinwalker, it's like very much into wooded areas, plains areas, and also goes into some of these other areas, the Badlands, cold areas, dark areas. When I say dark areas, I'm talking like farther north, going into northern Canada, going into Alaska, where you have periods where 3 to 4 months, 6 months, it's dark. And I thought about that, and that's correct how you said that. And that's the same thing I came up with.
It's very interesting indeed, because I know someone close to our team, Amber Beckerud. She has actually seen a Wendigo running. And it started on two legs, and then it went down to all fours, and this thing was almost going at 100 kilometers an hour, chasing them through a field. And it is very, very interesting how these creatures all seem to tie together. And would you include Sasquatch in that, or do you think Sasquatch is its own type of creature with no ties?
I think Bigfoot is its own entity. And give you an example of Skinwalker or something to that effect. I filmed back in October for a television show on Dogman, and we went to this one particular area, and they told me to meet them there, the film crew there at a certain time. So I got there, and they were caught up on another section. They were shooting in a different location, and so I had to sit there for a couple hours. I'm in the woods, deep in the woods. So I decided, I'm going to, take a little look around the woods. I had my camera with me, and I'm going in the woods there. And there's a trail that goes all through this woods, but I stayed in the wooded area. But the trail was still close enough for me to get to, and I heard a grunt, like a growl, and then all of a sudden this huge stick just flies in front of me. So I look off to my right, and about maybe 30 yards off, I see something dark just hit the ground. So I take my camera and I'm taking pictures, but in the pictures, because this thing is looking at me, but in the pictures, the shape of the head changes. So I have like 3 different pictures where it's 3 different type of images. One is definitely human, where it's looking right between these 2 branches, and you see the eyes, and the eye shine shows up. And in one picture, it has a snout. And in the second picture, it kind of like, it's really hard to tell, but it's different. And a lot of people who I showed this picture to believes that this is some type of shape shifting, could have been a skinwalker that I ran into, or some other type of entity. But the pictures, you can see where it just there was not 3 of them there, because it was all in the same area. But the entity changed to 3 different entities in the picture. It was really odd.
Okay.
So I do believe that the skinwalker, does exist.
One of the best questions, and we've had it a couple of times tonight, and I've thought this as well, because I'm going to tell you right now, this is a pay-per-view heavyweight matchup that I want to pay for. I would pay the $100 for pay-per-view to watch this happen. Has anybody ever recorded or witnessed a Dogman and Bigfoot scrapping it out? I want to see this one, Joedy. This is the pay-per-view of the century.
I would love to see it too, and I would probably put my money on Dogman, to the fact that it has claws, it has teeth, those are its weapons. Bigfoot has the strength. Okay, it'd be a long 15-round fight, believe me. But I think Dogman would come over ahead on that. But we actually had like one report where someone saw it happen, but he didn't stick around to see how it turned out. But he did say that, he did see the Bigfoot, he did see the Dogman. It didn't see him. They were just screaming at each other, throwing stuff, and it just got to the point they got to a fight. He just didn't want to stick around. So I only had one report like that, other than the one that happened in Utah, but no one's seen it, but they heard it. But I truly believe that, a Dogman by itself may not be able to do it, but I think, more than one, they could definitely take down a Bigfoot.
I'm disagreeing, man. I'm disagreeing. I think if Bigfoot gets his big burly arms around it, rips its shirt off like Hulkamania and just grabs a hold of it, I think it snaps his back, puts him in a camel clutch, and makes him humble like the old Iron Sheik, man.
Right. Funny you mention that. I was talking with a veterinarian that worked for the Department of Agriculture, which was who's attached with the U.S. Forestry Service, and she was telling me that they were finding bears that were dug up out of hibernation, and their backs were snapped. Not just grizzly bears, but black bears, and this was something that was happening, across the country. In this one particular, I can't say across the country, it was actually in like one particular region of the country where it was happening, and they couldn't figure out what was doing this. What was big enough to take 1,000-pound grizzly and snap its back and kill it, literally dig it out of its hibernation And this was happening for like a year. It only happened just the one time. And then about a year passed, and then they started to get like one or two other cases of it. But for 1 year, it was just happening crazy all over this area. So I don't think Bigfoot would have done that, because I don't think Bigfoot would have, I can't see Bigfoot going up, digging bears up out of hibernation and killing them. I can see Dogman doing this. And I asked her, do you think that, Bigfoot's doing this? And they're saying no, they don't believe that Bigfoot would be doing this, because this is not typical of behavior of a Bigfoot. Because if it was, they would have been seeing this years ago. But they just don't know what's doing it. Is there a different cryptid out there that we don't know about that's doing this? Only other explanation, it would have to be a Dogman. It would have to be more than one Dogman. It would have to be a big one in order, to take a grizzly and snap its back. But, it's crazy.
Yeah, I can see where that would be, one of those mysteries that we're all trying to figure out, and why it's happening, how it's happening, where is it coming from. Now, do you think that, and I don't really believe this is the case, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways. Do you think that a creature like Dogman, or what many people, if you go back in history, call Anubis, is something that may not be from here and could be from another planetary system dropped here by aliens?
Well, we get reports of a Anubis-style creature where people have seen a dog-headed man where it's wearing some type of describe it as like a pharaoh's type garment, or some type of skirt is the best way to describe it. No shirt. People have seen these things. I even spoke with a Canadian soldier that seen one in Afghanistan, where this thing, he described it, and his whole unit described this thing as Anubis. Not a werewolf, not a Dogman, but 100% this thing was Anubis. We have had reports of very similar incidents where they said Anubis. So I don't know. It's crazy. The reports are out there. Is this something completely different? Being some type of extraterrestrial, or being from another dimension, but you also have to look, you've heard of the Hollow Earth theory, okay, where, there's another world inside of ours. And are these cryptids like Mothman, Bigfoot, Dogman, Loveland Frogman type?
In South Dakota, we're looking forward to exploring new roads and wide open spaces. When you're ready to travel, go great places. Learn more at TravelSouthDakota.com.
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late, and that the clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Keep Stock inventory management solutions help ensure you have the right stuff in the right place at exactly the right time. Visit Grainger.com/keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Creatures, are these they live in this hollow earth, and they're able to come up. I don't know, but it has some type of significance that it's just not from this realm or this universe that we live in.
I can see that. I can totally see that in what you're saying. Now, a few years ago when we had you on this show, you actually got a couple of email reports from American soldiers who had run into these creatures in both Afghanistan and down in Brazil. Now, the one that happened in Afghanistan, I mean, that one was pretty freaky, where the unit was going on patrol. Could you tell us that story again?
Yeah, there was a unit in Afghanistan that came up missing, and they sent another unit out looking for him, but the unit didn't actually come up missing. Their communications devices just didn't work, so they were not able to communicate where they were. They eventually did get a hold of the unit, but in the process, they were in Kandahar Valley, and they were in a mountain area, and so the unit kind of broke off to go search, and this one particular soldier was with another troop, and they were on the hillside there, and he heard something, so he said, "I'm going to go up and check this out, cover my six." So he climbs up, and he gets to the ledge, and he's like looking over, and he sees these two werewolves wearing body armor. The best way he could describe it, he said it was like something out of Halo. They didn't have a helmet on, they didn't have any gloves, and they didn't have any boots, but he was able to see the bottom of or the feet were more like a dog's, and it killed one of the insurgents, and there were two other ones that were there that were dead. And he's looking at these things, and he said they were, probably about 7-8 feet. And they started to sniff the air, like they picked up his scent. And the other one, they were kind of standing close, and he said he took the back of his hand and kind of patted the back of the hand of the other one, like, "We got to go." And so they moved off, and there was, some rocks and bush there, and it kind of went behind them, and it was like a blue flash that took place. He said it was some of the weirdest things that he saw, because they were just wearing some type of body armor, like they were some type of alien. And the other case that you're talking about took place down in Honduras, where this guy I was talking to, he was former special forces, but he is now with a contract with the U.S. government, when basically what he does was go out, they recover down UFOs. And he talked about an alien species that the United States got in contact with in the early part of the 70s, and it was a canine type species that was very predatorial. They didn't know much about them. They had very limited contact with them, but they were getting reports of them. So they end up getting a downed craft, okay? And it had survivors. But he said these things were so dangerous, they wouldn't keep them in the United States. They kept them in a military facility in South America. And these things were extremely intelligent, but they were able to take over the facility and get out. And their job was to go down and eliminate the situation, because they were killing people in one of the local villages. And they couldn't let these things get out into residential areas and so forth and get on film or something, with the news. But he also described these things of wearing a type of body armor, but he also described them. He said they were like a wolf. They were very canine. They had head like a wolf. If you looked at the face, that was what you saw, was a canine, but it was a very intelligent species of alien. So the Dogman we have today are these things. I think it's something totally different. Could they be offsprings of these alleged alien type Dogmen? They very well could be.
That is just freaky to think, and I gotta say, I'm curious to see what is going to happen here, as we got you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Joedy Cook from the North American Dogman Project has been sharing us information of Dogman, Anubis, werewolves, all night long. We got them. We'll ask some of your questions from our audience next when we return. And, of course, all you got to do is go to Google or Facebook, type in North American Dogman Project, and you can see the information right there. Or if you have a report, file your own. Joedy Cook continues. Then we got Stetson John and the UFO report, the news, and the thought of the day in hour 3 next. Joedy, I'm just going to take a bathroom break. We'll be right back here, okay?
All right.
I'm going to put your
All right,
microphone on mute. Be right back. All right, Joedy, I'll just turn you back on here. Give me 2 seconds. And go from there. There we go. All right. So when we get to the next commercial break, just stick with me through the commercial break. I'll say a proper good night to you when we go there. And, maybe I should turn my mute on. There we go. So just stick with me right through the break, and I'll say a proper good night to you when we come back.
Okay.
And go from there. We got about 1 minute here. There we go. And I want to say a big thank you to Chad, Inzane, Sunny, Marie, Black Dragon, Andrew, Grace, Apollo, Tim, Whisper, Fap, and Nicola for the amazing super chats tonight. Really do appreciate everything you guys do to support Spaced Out Radio. It's absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Really do appreciate it, and appreciate the love of all the new people who have hit the subscribe button tonight and rang that bell. We are here 7 days a week, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Zabaglione. Zabaglione is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Joedy Cook. He is from the North American Dogman Project. He is the founder and creator of that organization, over 700 members strong, looking for the elusive Dogman creature. And, of course, you can find them all over social media and on Google. Joedy, welcome back.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right. Before we get to some audience questions here, right before the break, we were talking about the fact that this Anubis-type creature has been spotted by military members in war zones. How come we're not seeing these military-type Anubis creatures, say, in North America?
We have had a few reports where people have seen a Anubis-type Dogman. And it's not uncommon. You do have these where some are wearing, I guess, like a Pharaoh's type hat, that Anubis has, and then some where he's not having any type of headgear on, but the characteristics is very much like Anubis and not like a typical Dogman. And in these particular cases, they communicate telepathically with the people.
No kidding.
Yeah, we've had a few of them that were like that. In one particular case, that when I talked about like the blue light that happened in Afghanistan, one particular case, the blue light, this blue flash happened, and the entity was there. and the entity was, talking to the person telepathically. Nothing out of the ordinary, but just asking simple questions about where I'm at, what is the year, what is your name, things to that effect. And it was a very calm situation with this individual. They did not feel fair. They felt very calm in the presence of this entity. So, is this something that's very extraterrestrial? It could be, but I think it's something more interdimensional. Same thing you have with Bigfoot reports. You have a lot of, interdimensional sightings that are taking place, where people see these things basically walk out of some type of, I can't think of the right word, but just out of thin air in some cases. Same thing with Dogman. There's some type of connection there. But like I said, I think this is a lot of very much supernatural dealing with the subject and more than flesh and blood.
Right. Apollo was asking, are there dog women?
Yeah, actually, we had one case, very interesting case, in Akron, Ohio. There was this gentleman, he was 68 at the time, avid turkey hunter, and he was up in this area. So he heard the turkeys. He's in the woods, and there was a little opening before he went back into the wood line again. And once he got out into the open, the turkeys stopped. Okay, so he stopped. So he's thinking, well, they might have heard him. And he said, all of a sudden, he said these dogs, 5 of them came out at him and kind of made a circle around him. He never said werewolf. He never said dog man. He always referred to him as a dog. And he said there was one that would show aggression, and it was a little bit smaller than the rest of them. And he said it was a female because he was able to see the male organs on the other dogs. So he knew those were male, but he said this one particular one was a female. And it was the alpha, because it was the only one that showed any type of aggression. And he pointed the weapon at him, and he said it kind of like expanded back a little bit. And so he'd raise his weapon back, and they would kind of move in. And basically, they just kind of moved him out of the area. And he goes, I'll never go hunting again. Never go hunting. But he thinks that, they were hunting the turkeys just at the same time he was, and they were moving them out. But he said the alpha was a female.
Really?
Yeah.
How rare are these sightings? Because every year, almost every day in North America, there is someone out in the forest hunting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yet the majority of hunters out there have never had a Bigfoot experience. They've never had a Dogman experience. They've never seen a footprint out of the ordinary. And the majority of hunters out there are highly experienced outdoors people. And yet they've never come across anything. I mean, I look at my buddy Mark, who has been a hunting guide. He's been an animal tracker for wolves and cougars back on Vancouver Island. He has been in the forest for 35 of his 49 years, if not probably 38 of his 49 years. And he'd never believed in Sasquatch until I showed him a print. And this is a guy who could, every time we go out in the forest, he just amazes me when we're walking along some trails, and he'll be like, oh, you just stepped over a wild horse track or a moose track or something along those lines. And I'm looking down and I'm like, where? Where is it? And we have thousands of those people in the forest daily around North America, and they're not seeing anything, Joedy.
Well, you have to understand, a lot of sightings are accidental sightings. It's one of these things where it's just they came upon it, or it came upon them. these things, if they don't want you to see them, you're not going to see them. You only see them by accident. A lot of the sightings, you see these things go across the road. That's an accidental sighting. This thing could have been occupied on, it's hunting something. It's got its senses on that. You got people walking out in the woods and they see it. A lot of these are accidental sightings, or the sighting is because it lets you know it was there. It was either going to move you out of the area or it was stalking you. This is how the sightings go. We go out a lot. We don't see anything. We don't see evidence a lot of times, but we're in areas where they're having a lot of sightings.
For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. Backed by 24/7 customer support and specialists to help with hard-to-find products. Because you've got everyone's back. We've got yours. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Expand your influence with the perfect music to play on any social video. With Premium Beat, you get tracks produced by award-winning musicians working in world-class studios, so all your videos sound professional. Best of all, unlike other music providers, our license gives you tracks for a lifetime. Pay once and never again. Save 25% on your next track. Just visit premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast to redeem your coupon. That's premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast.
In place. Is it because the temperature's too hot, or we're just happened to miss it, by a half hour, or, it ends up showing up after we leave. It's all because I think it's just what luck you have when you're out there. They're all accidental sightings. You talk to people dealing with Bigfoot, the same thing. If you're out there, cutting wood, you're making a noise, it's curious about it. It's looking at you, and then you spot it. It's those type of sightings that take place.
All right, let's get to another question here from Chad. Did Dogman originate in Michigan? What is the connection to that state?
No, actually, Michigan, the Michigan Dogman is just something that goes all the way back into the 1800s. Let me give an example. Okay. Years ago, say prior to 1980, Dogman sightings specifically stayed in certain areas. You had Michigan, you had Wisconsin. Okay. So you had the northern part of the United States. Okay. That was about the biggest area at the time. Okay. You very seldom had anything out west. You had a few sightings that were taking place in the east. Okay. Now it expanded from those areas. So the whole northeastern part of the United States is the biggest hotspot. And that's going from like Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, going all the way up, into New Jersey area. These are like the biggest spots. And it just seemed like it just expanded. It grew from these two small areas to out to where it is, to where it is today.
Very interesting in regards to that. All right, let's get to another question. Mike is asking, do you think Dogman enjoys freaking out humans?
I think they do. I think they're I'm trying to think of the best word I could say. I think they enjoy scaring people. I think they enjoy letting you know they're there and to let you know that I can get you at any time. Because these are problem-solving animals. We had one particular incident where this woman was in the living room with her children, and this is in Kentucky. This is like outside of the land between the lakes. And this Dogman came into their home. It was able to open the door and come into the house, came down the hallway and into the living room where they were. And it looked at her, and looked at the children. She grabbed the children and they went behind the couch and it left. But this thing was able to come in and it let her know it was there. Strange situation. I'm like, this thing did not do anything other than let you know it was there. She didn't think about when the door opened because she thought it was their husband coming home. But they let you know they're there. They let you know that they can get you at any time. And this is not the only case that we had that was similar to that. We had one other particular case where this thing was trying to come in through a dog port, knowing that it could not get through, but it let the person know in that house that it had the capability of coming into the home.
That is incredibly freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly freaky. Cousin Gary in Edmonton wants to know, do their eyes glow?
I don't think they glow. I think it's when the light from the moon or another type of light hits it, just like you're going down the road, you see a deer, and the headlights end up picking the illumination of the eyes. But what we're finding out, their colors are either a amber, a very light yellow. We have had green, we have had blue. So we've been getting different colors that people have been seeing. And what's so unique about this, they're broken up into like different parts of the country. You have one particular color eye shine in this one region and another in a different region, and it's not all the same. So are these different breeds of these Dogman that's putting off different color eye shines? But I think, like I said, a lot of it is light from the moon or some type of light source that causes that. It's like that with most animals outside. Your cats, your dogs have it. Deers, any type of other little rodent and so forth. They're going to have that type of eye shine.
All right, moving on. We have a question from Bat Mom. Oh, maybe not a question, just in capital letters. Let's go to Vanner. Are there any other species like catmen?
We've had a few reports of a species that's human size that look very cat-looking. We've had reports where the face is very cat-looking, cat, style eyes, cat style ears, cat type body. So I don't know if that's a completely different species or if it's one type of species of Dogman that look, very cat looking. But we've had that. We've had reports where they specifically said it was like a cat. And that goes back in that particular species, something like that does go back to Egyptian time where they've had particular entities that had a cat head.
Weird question from Steve. Says, thanks for talking about this subject. I was visited by 2 dogmen after my stepfather neutered my pup, Steve. Are they connected to our version of dogs?
I'm not sure if there's any correlation between a domestic dog and Dogman. I think they're completely 2 different species, because you have one species that's just strictly, a canine, then you have another species that is capable of being a canine, but yet standing like a man. It's a totally different breed of an animal. Is there some type of connection because they're canine? Probably so. Probably so. But, this whole phenomenon on the subject is extremely a big mystery. to everyone, even people like myself that's been doing this for years, because you keep learning every time you go out. Every time you talk to someone, you keep learning. But there's a connection somewhere, somehow. So it's a possibility.
Lazarus is asking, do you think a dog whistle could help protect someone from an attack?
I believe so. A lot of our team members carry dog whistles, believe it or not, or a high pitch survival type whistle. I think it can. I think sound affects dogs. It's like when I go out, I have what they call a distraction device. It's what SWAT teams and military uses. It's about the size of a grenade, and you arm it prior to going out, and you hit the button, and you'll throw it towards the entity, and it puts a high-pitched sound along with a strobe light, and it distracts, so you be able to get out of the area. And like a lot of SWAT teams use that, where they'll throw it into a room to distract them from their team coming in. And like I said, the sound is a very high pitch. I mean, it hurts your ear, but at the same time, it puts a strobe off. So yeah, I think they do work, because I carry these devices when I go out.
Chad is asking, do you think Dogman or Bigfoot hibernate?
Yeah, I don't think Bigfoot does. I honestly, I don't think Dogman does, because in our research, we have a pie chart on our website where we look at the different type of sightings per season. So it pretty well is a much the same. So I do not think these things hibernate at all. I think that they may spend a long duration inside their den. But I don't think they hibernate, because it's a canine species, and most dogs don't hibernate. I'm not even sure if wolves even hibernate at long periods of time. So I think it's maybe doubtful.
I know many people have seen Sasquatch tracks here in the snow, here in British Columbia. I don't think they hibernate at all. Dogmen, not sure. I'm really not sure. Speaking of environmental challenges, Gary the Dutchman, who lives in British Columbia here too, knows that we're going through a lot of forest fires throughout the province. And he's asking, wouldn't there be some type of skeletal remains of Dogman or Bigfoot if they were caught up in the fire?
Yeah, I believe they would, because I don't think they would burn to the crisp. But I truly believe in my heart, somewhere in the Smithsonian Institute, that there are remains of a Dogman and remains of a Bigfoot. Okay, because at the Smithsonian Institute, they only put out if they have additional copies of the species. Okay, if they only have one, it's sitting in a crate somewhere, probably under steps or something to that effect. And that's why I believe they have the remains. But in his statement, if you find the remains of a Bigfoot or remains of a Dogman, well, if you saw the Dogman, you would probably think it was a wolf, and you would just overlook it. If you had the remains of a Bigfoot, obviously it's human. You think it's human, and depending on how bad the bones are burnt, are they able to get any type of DNA off of it? But I'm sure it has happened. I've talked to firefighters, in some of these large fires that took place out, west, that have sat there and said they've seen Bigfoot. They've seen these things like run from the fires, and they believe that, some have probably been killed. There's one particular case that I was talking with a guy about, where one was actually severely burnt and came up to firefighters, and they actually tried to save this thing because it was burnt so bad. And this was a Bigfoot, and eventually it died. But when they reported it, the government came in and picked this thing up. but it was smart enough to know to go to the firefighters, I guess, for help. So it does happen. You're going to find, cases like this where people have talked about these same incidents happening. So if you find a Dogman body, obviously they're going to think it's a wolf, so they're just going to overlook it. A Bigfoot might be a little bit different. They may think it's a human, unless it's not burned to the point where it's unrecognizable to say, hey, this is a Bigfoot body. And I'm sure these firefighters are told, if they find any of these remains, not to say nothing, to report it to a certain individual.
Right. Joedy, I hate to do this, man, but it is time for us to say good night to you, my friend, as we
had a good time.
We always have a good time with you. And, in a few months' time, I'll be calling you again to see if you want to come back on.
Definitely.
And we love you here, man. Thank you for being a great friend of Spaced Out Radio and giving us all the news on Dogman. Joedy Cook, everyone, from the North American Dogman Project. Coming up next, Stetson John is going to bring with us the unbiased UFO report. We got the news, thought of the day, more Spaced Out Radio after this. Great job, Joe.
All right, appreciate it, brother.
Always appreciate you, my friend. We'll give you a few claps there.
All right, definitely keep in touch, buddy.
Of course we will. You take care, okay?
You too. Take care, buddy.
Good night.
All right, good night.
Joedy Cook, everyone. Love him. Absolutely love him. What a great guy. Great guy. Ozzy Steve,
Dave,
thank you for that super chat, man. Go ahead, John.
I only had two recurring dreams as a child. One was of a giant wave that blocked out the sky, overtaking the beach I was on, and the second one was of Anubis coming to kill me. And I really don't appreciate you bringing it up on the radio station.
You're going to be in nightmares tonight, brother.
Oh, man. The whole idea that thing could actually, oh, boy, man. That's not a nice dude. Like, Anubis is a prick. Man, not friendly at all.
Dude, I'm going to be honest.
Not friendly.
I'm going to be honest with you. I am still tired from Friday night. I felt so hungover on Saturday morning that I didn't sleep at all.
I know, and you know what's funny? I went back and I listened to especially the last 20 minutes because I wanted to see how we were, and we weren't. We were both just totally going. It was funny.
It was good though.
It was good. It was a good conversation.
It was good though.
And I think it was good for a lot of people to hear it too, because I think a lot of people are having the same conversation and they don't realize that it's common, that we're all having these same questions,
Yeah, and it put some ideas in my head for future interaction, not at midnight till 3 in the morning, but just want to say, Vanner Smith, you said, makes a comment here, watch the show for a while now, but first time interacting. We're really glad you're here. Thank you so much for tuning us in live for your first time. I hope you had a good night with us. Justin Absolutely. S., good to see you. And there's Super Nikki, who's come out from Seattle.
Oh, thank you, Justin. Appreciate you saying that.
Oh, man. Honestly, I am so beat up, tired.
Oh, I'm in the same boat. And then my daughter, just started school last week. She got to be there at 8:15 in the morning, and she wants both of us to take her to school in the morning. So I'm having to get up at basically before any human should, and not good for a night owl.
Yep, mine starts up here. They don't start school until the Tuesday after the Labor Day weekend.
Oh, okay. All right. Here, it almost seems like they start a week earlier every year. It's weird. It's weird. It just keeps rolling back further and further.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I know that feeling, man. That's what I like it about here. I mean, it's always the same. Always the same. And no, there will be no after show tonight. I am dead tired, and I have to place a call after the show to Lori and Fenton, so I'm not going to be doing much editing after the show here tonight, which reminds me I better confirm with her about this.
And that won't be a short phone call.
No.
All my favorite people are verbose.
Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of cool. Kind of cool.
Man, Dogman, because Bigfoot's got such a such a nice, side to him, or them, that whole kid, that was a kid that was protected, and Dogman just seems like a
oh, he's just an angry house cat.
Nightmare.
Angry house cat.
Man, just wow.
I want to say a big thank you to Aussie Steve, Canadian Steve, Chad, Inzane, Sonny, Marie, Black Dragon, Andrew, Grace, Apollo, Tim, Whisper, Fap, and Nicola for the amazing super chats tonight. Really do appreciate the love and support. Thank yous to, I love seeing all these new names mixing in with our veterans and our regular guests here on the chat room on a nightly basis. We are here 7 days a week starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time. And we really appreciate you, and thank you so much. We're going to get going here in about 3 seconds, so sit back, and here we go. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It is that time once again where we look to the stars and the man behind all of our UFO news for the unbiased UFO report is Mr. John Hudson, who always has a beautiful black Stetson on when he gives his report. John, thank you so much for kicking off the week once again.
Happy to be here. Thank you much for having me.
We are glad that you are here as well. Now, let's kick it off right off the bat here, because Ross Coulthart, I actually had a phone conversation with him for about 40 minutes yesterday. And we were just talking about some UFOs. Great guy. Wants to bring some serious investigative journalism into this case. And he said to me yesterday, he goes, Dave, people need to realize that
For the ones who know that a little late is always too late, and that the clock doesn't stop just because you're missing a part, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. And our Keep Stock inventory management solutions help ensure you have the right stuff in the right place at exactly the right time. Visit Grainger.com/keepstock to learn more. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The perfect video needs the perfect music. That's why premium beat tracks are produced by award-winning musicians at world-class studios. Plus, our license gives you tracks for a lifetime. Pay once and never again. Save 25% on your next track at premiumbeat.com/royalty-free/podcast.
I know that I'm the flavor of the day right now, but I'm not a ufologist. I am somebody that is an investigative journalist taking this subject very, very seriously. You got some news on Ross.
Yeah. Well, it illustrates what he said. He's going to keep on punching. He's going to keep on crawling, because as long as there's a story to follow, he's going to keep digging into it because he's not a believer. He's a journalist, you know? Yeah. So basically, so I don't know how many of you are aware of the Westfall UFO incident. It was an incident in Australia where, you know, there was a significant sighting during the day, and for the sake of you know, the timeline in the show, I can't go into much detail about it, but Ross started investigating it as part of his book, and he initially didn't think much of it because even though it's a very well documented event from you know, people who were interviewed from this government side, it's not a documented event at all. And so he went in there very skeptical until he met this science teacher that was willing to come out and actually, you know, go public with his name, that basically had someone knock on his door, one guy in a military uniform, another guy in a suit, and basically tell him, you're going to stop talking about this and you're going to keep your mouth shut, or we're going to spread rumors that you're a drunk and that you have all sorts of mental challenges, and we will make sure that you lose your teaching job and you never work again. And like, I don't even care. Like, I don't care if they were UFOs. They could have been a black program. You don't do that to your own citizens, right? Like, what drives someone to do that to your citizens? So that really got Ross's interest going. And through a contact that he actually already had for other reasons, he found out that there was a gentleman whose father had written a report on this event and had actually submitted the report on this event. So this gave Ross the clue that there is possibly a document in existence. And he happened to find a lawyer that's willing to work pro bono and wants to essentially take this on for him. And so the lawyers put together a small team of people, and they will essentially be going at the Australian government from a legal point of view, and will essentially be, you know, I don't know what the proper term is in their framework, but in ours it would be essentially suing for the release of this document. And you know, his confidence level is kind of, you know, here or there, because they don't have all the same kind of guarantees to information that we do in the United States. But he's very excited, and I'm just excited to see that Ross is assembling a dedicated team to attack something in particular, and that he's continuing to step up his game. And who knows, this might turn into something really interesting.
I hope it does, because I think he's starting to realize that there's a lot of dark secrets in this story. And the more he investigates, in my private conversation with him, and I know he's been meeting with Bryce Zabel, another person who I've talked to recently, you know, I know that they are very compelled to bring out the true story of what is truly happening with the UFO story right now. And we need proper journalism in this story. The mainstream media has not done a sufficient job in asking those tough questions, in my opinion, and I'm saying that as a former media member. I am saying that I think that they have, for the majority of them, fallen along with the narrative that has been provided and handed to them by the United States government. That includes across the border here in Canada. And, you know, one of the things, John, and I'll just let you know and our listeners know, that I was talking to our station manager at Saga 960, Joedy Panu, earlier today via email, and they are hoping to get candidates meetings, because now in Canada we are going to be heading to a federal election in September. And with that federal election, I have challenged the radio show hosts there that if any of the potential party leaders come on the station, or anybody running for candidacy in that area, we are going to pose the UFO question to them. And we're going to see what the Canadian response is. Because I can tell you right now, if they were to get Prime Minister Trudeau on the air, I know he met and has been read in. I know that for a fact, 100%. I have no paperwork trail, but the people whom I have talked to have confirmed that he has been read in, and that a meeting took place between him and Canada's ambassador in 2019, after the ambassador, a guy named David McNaughton, McNaughton, pardon me, was read in
right.
by Lou Elizondo's successor on this subject. So we're going to try and be at the forefront there at Saga 960 when this story comes out. All right.
That's huge. And I have to say with Trudeau, I don't want to get into your politics, but he's a technical guy. He can explain technical issues very well. So it would be super interesting to hear him talk on the subject.
Well, he can't explain too much well. You have to eliminate the 46 ums and ahs in a 10-word sentence. All right, moving on here. Let's go to Grant Cameron, because him and Nicole Sackich, Nikki Sackich, whatever you want to call her, they did a great rundown of this report that you first reported on here last week that Tom DeLonge and Jim Semivan did, talking their first real public statements since the Two of the Stars Academy had literally half their power team fold when Luis Elizondo, Chris Mellon, and Steve Justice left back in December of 2020.
Yep, and to a degree, Hal Puthoff as well. I mean, Hal Puthoff is still on the board, but he doesn't have his internal director role anymore, and that was a week later, and kind of didn't get noticed by many people. But I mean, this was a big change in things. Yeah, so this is I'll be honest with people. This is a report by Grant that is for those of you that like to get into the weeds. But if you like to get into the weeds, I could not recommend this more. It's a good listen. And what he does is that he goes through, primarily relying on the documents that he acquired through the WikiLeaks stuff, and basically goes through the emails, goes through a lot of the news items and so forth, and stitches together a nice timeline of sorts for like when what happened and where which happened. And it actually kind of in an interesting way kind of it's very compatible with some of what Ross does in his book as well. So if any of you are reading that, you'll find some synergies there. But it's a very, very interesting. It was a very, very interesting thing to listen to. I didn't, for example, realize that it kind of brings to light some of the challenges that Tom had of people, telling him one thing to his face and then saying other things in meetings, and really frustrating him. And so it's interesting. It's a very, very interesting it's a very interesting topic. And if you enjoy that stuff, I highly recommend Grant's presentation.
I don't think Tom DeLonge is a bad guy in this. I think he was the wrong guy, and I think he was the perfect patsy for a great story. A famous musician with millions of followers on social media talking UFOs. It was a perfect storm. I think he got played, and I think that
he was not the first one to be played either.
No, and I still stand behind a lot of the words that I said about him when we had our marathon show last week. Okay, where we went forever and ever and ever. People could check that out on YouTube. But I can tell you, I really do believe that Tom was played. I don't believe for a second that the story about how he was the brilliant mastermind of putting that team together sounds way too simplistic. All right? They may have given him the names and the emails to contact, but I don't believe that for a second. And we'll see where it goes. Let's move on here. Next topic. This is one that I'm getting very, very interested in because John Greenwald from the blackvault.com has a little bit of breaking news here that NASA is actually going to be debriefed on UFOs. Yes. I mean, yes, they're going to hear from the UAPTF, but come on, NASA. Are we really supposed to believe that you know nothing about UFOs?
Well, here's the thing, right? They know about them from their point of view, right? And their point of view is very specific, right? I actually got into a debate with someone on Twitter about this today about how much even observation even near Earth NASA actually does. They're very focused on external planets. And now the International Space Station obviously has a hell of a view for things. And so, they're aware. But what I really think, because you got to remember that this kind of connects with the story I did a couple weeks ago where, we talked about the fact that NASA got briefed last year. So this is NASA's second briefing, as far as we know. And John did get it confirmed that the meeting is happening tomorrow, although he was not able to get it confirmed that that Bill Nelson will be showing up personally, but they wouldn't tell him anyway for security reasons. So my guess is that he'll probably be there. But this is their second briefing, and so what that means is one is there's follow up from the previous meeting. So there was things asked for at the previous meeting that will then be brought to this meeting. Okay, that's one thing, and the second thing is that the UAPTF has now become an exchange point for all these different offices. Now, if NASA wants to find out what the DOE knows, they can find it out through a briefing with the UAPTF. If the Air Force wants to find out, what the Navy's doing, not from the Navy, but from a more unbiased third party, they can hear what they're doing through. So the UAPTF has now become this central hub where everyone can exchange information without actually having to connect and brief each other in a more precarious situation. And so it's very possible that everything that they're told at this meeting will actually be new to them, because it will be stuff that was gained from the perspective of the Navy, perspective of the Air Force, perspective of the Army, perspective of who else. They're not going to be hearing NASA's perspective. And so, I think there is a lot they can glean from it, but I certainly understand your emotional reaction to it. I think a lot of people have the same reaction where they're like, come on, is this just theater? And I really don't think it is. And also, I don't think it's unidirectional. I think it's a bi-directional communication. I think this is also an opportunity for Bill Nelson to share with the UAPTF what he's gleaned in the last couple of weeks, now that he's actually green-lighted some of his top people to look into the problem. So I'm hoping it's a fruitful meeting, but it is classified, and so don't expect to hear anything out of it.
Well, I don't expect to hear anything out of anything. NASA has their own secrets. We've heard everything from astronauts saying that they've seen things in the sky while up in space. We've seen people come out publicly saying that they've seen and witnessed NASA scrub photographs of UFOs. We've seen feeds cut to the International Space Station. They're just as dirty as anything on this subject.
No, it's people forget. NASA Ames, which is right near me, they've only been open to the public once in 25 years, and it was for one morning. Otherwise you cannot go onto that. You cannot get onto that campus. That is not a huggy-feely, rainbows and ponies organization. And it's an interesting problem. And actually, one new point that comes out in Ross's book is that Edgar Mitchell's best friend is saying that Edgar Mitchell confided in him just a few days before his death that he did see something when on the moon, and that he was basically told that it would be treason if he ever told anyone about it. So for them to be, if that's true, and if an astronaut was told it will be treason if you talk about this, one, that shows how seriously they take it to make that sort of a threat to essentially a hero. And two, it might explain the very glum look on the gentlemen's faces when they did that press conference the few days after they got back from that walk on the moon, because they all left very happy-go-lucky and they all came back looking very solemn and sad.
Very true. John, we'll talk to you with the next Unbiased UFO Report in just a couple nights' time. Thank you so much. We always appreciate you coming on to Spaced Out Radio. Here we go with the news. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR News Wire. at the back end of every show where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the UFOs. Tucker Carlson from Fox News apparently going to be putting together Fox Nation's Tucker Carlson Originals, the UFO Files, Chasing the Truth. Yes, the I don't even know what you call him. Not a fan of his. But he's into UFOs, old Tucker is, even without his patented bow tie that he doesn't wear anymore. Crazy people believe in them up until you get to the line. The Pentagon admits it doesn't know what in the world this is. The question is, will Tucker ask some tough questions, or are we going to see the same crap that we have seen right through? The good news is he's not dropping the ball on the press. The bad news is he hasn't asked a tough question yet. What are they? Where do they come from? How do we know it's not a foreign adversary from this planet? Yeah, those are the questions we don't need. We need to find out, Tucker, why only did the report go back to 2004? What about Phoenix? What about Roswell? What about every UFO landing, crash, whatever in between? Stop asking BS questions and giving that stupid, dumbfounded look. 1909 Honus Wagner baseball card has sold for a record $6.6 million, as it is now once again the most expensive sports card of all time. Yeah, Robert Edward Auctions, which closed the bidding, announced that the T206 Honus Wagner card sold for $6.6 million, beating a record of $5.2 million set by a Topps 1952 Mickey Mantle card in January, and in April by the 2003-2004 Upper Deck Exquisite Collection LeBron James autograph rookie card. Yeah, who said baseball cards weren't worth anything? And we threw them out. Thanks, Mom. Let's see. We got time for two more here. The live-streamed bears of Katmai National Park and Preserve of Fat Bear Week internet fame devour salmon over the summer to outlast the long, harsh winter famine. Last year's Fat Bear Week champion was a sizable Bear 747, had already succeeded in growing an impressive fat in 2021. In fact, he is so big that recent footage shows him struggling to ascend a riverbank. In other words, he looks about the size of our listener Fap's head. Yeah, Bear 747, the largest and currently most dominant bear of the river, has used his girth and influence, much like Flap, to exploit the best fishing spots in a hyper-competitive bear world. That means getting a lot of calories. The footage below shows 747 laboring up a commonly used bear trail. No, he couldn't make it up. He was weebly, he was wobbly, but he did not fall down. Good old Fap. We're going to call that bear Fap from now on. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time. Let's get right to the question here. All right. What do you think the Dogman creature is? Catherine, I think Dogman is mixed up with lore from werewolves and more, and has springboarded a fictional Dogman into legend as such. Magnus, I think it's either a real creature unknown to us as of yet, or else misrepresented sightings of escaped pets like hyenas or kangaroos. Paul, I feel Dogman has come from lore. It's hard for me to get on board with this cryptid. Kevin, Dave, some of those dogs are a little too happy when that click at the park rubs their belly. Yes, Joe, Vinny once spent the weekend at a dog kennel. Bada bing, bada boom, Dogman. Marty, many experiencers with similar descriptions, maybe a type of skinwalker. Chris, I think it's a cross between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Cujo. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the news. We got John Hudson for the UFO report, and to Joedy Cook for talking Dogman all night long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone tuning us in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everyone. I'm Chad Smith.
In South Dakota, we're looking forward to exploring new roads and wide open spaces. When you're ready to travel, go great places. Learn more at TravelSouthDakota.com.
Okay, so if you don't already know, Kohl's is the best kept secret for back to school shopping. My daughter's heading off to college, and I got a great deal on a bedding set for her dorm, which she absolutely loves. Picked up some pillows for $11.99 and got her new jeans for just $21.99. I mean, whoa. With prices like that, you can't say no. Did I mention I got Kohl's Cash and it was ready for pickup in less than an hour? So, yeah, I'd say it was a success. Select styles. Prices good 8/18 to 8/22/2021. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.